Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The Sultanate's gross domestic product value is more than 25.5 billion Omani riyals by the end of 2016. 12.4 billion Omani riyals is the total value of commercial banks' deposits in the Sultanate by the end of last February. And citizens of the 5th area of South Ma'bela managed to deliver portable water to 200 households. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. Gross domestic product (GDP) of the Sultanate by the end of last year reached around 25.5 billion Omani riyals. According to the statistics issued by the National Centre for Statistics and Information, the GDP of the Sultanate by the end of 2015 reached more than 16.8 billion riyals. The oil activities witnessed a decline by the end of 2016 that reached around 7 billion riyals, compared to more than 9 billion by the end of 2015. The contribution of natural gas sector to the gross domestic product increased to more than 1.8 billion riyals by the end of 2016, whilst in 2015 it was 1.16 billion Omani riyals. The total value of deposits of commercial banks in the Sultanate increased by the end of last February by 4.6% to reach 12.4 billion Omani riyals. The central bank stated that the total value of these deposits, represented in post deposits, exceeded 3.7 billion Omani riyals, while saving deposits reached 4.58 billion Omani riyals. The central bank also stated that out of the overall value of deposits in the commercial banks, 11% are of foreign currency deposits. Celebrating the World Day of Asthma, the Ministry of Health organized the Open Day of Asthma Disease under the theme Better Air, Better Breath. The activity aimed at raising awareness among society and healthcaters about means of preventing and controlling asthma, in addition to introducing the latest developments of it, as it is the most chronic disease spreading among children worldwide. Citizens in the 5th area of South Ma'bela managed to deliver water to 200 houses in 2 months and avoided water disruptions and got rid of water tanks. The project of delivering water to these houses was an initiative of local citizens who collected donations and implemented this project. The Public Authority for Electricity and Water provided financial support to the citizens to implement this project, which cost more than 31,000 Omani riyals. The project reflects the principle of social partnership with the government in light of the current economic circumstances. According to the requests applied to the Public Authority for Electricity and Water, the project of delivering water to the 5th area of South Ma'bela by the government will take at least 6 years. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said fighting subsided in Syria today after a deal signed by Russia, Iran and Turkey to create 4 safe zones began to take effect. The zones still exist only on paper, and the co-sponsors have until June 4th to finalize their borders under the terms of the agreement struck at peace talks in Kazakhstan on Thursday. But the observatory reported only sporadic skirmishes and shelling early today in the areas covered by the deal. The agreement covers 4 main battlegrounds between the government and rebels: the northwestern province of Idlib, parts of Homs province in the center, the south, and the opposition enclave of eastern Ghouta near Damascus. It provides for a ceasefire, a no-fly zone, rapid deliveries of humanitarian aid to the designated areas, and the return of refugees. French authorities took a hard line today on what presidential frontrunner Emmanuel Macron called a massive hacking attack on his campaign, warning on the eve of the vote that anyone spreading the information could be committing a crime. The warning came after the pro-Europe centrist team lambasted a massive and coordinated hack that resulted in the online leak of thousands of emails, accounting details and internal documents late yesterday. It was an unexpected 11th hour twist ahead of tomorrow's decisive runoff after a bruising and divisive campaign pitting the 39-year-old former banker who embraces free trade against his anti-EU far-right rival Marine Le Pen. The election watchdog advised media not to publish details from the documents, warning that publication could lead to criminal charges and that some of the documents were probably fake. Pakistan dispatched truckloads of relief supplies today to villages along the southwest border with Afghanistan, where 11 people were killed in fighting between the two countries, prompting Pakistan to close a border crossing. More than 50 Pakistani villagers and several troops were wounded when Afghanistan allegedly fired across the border on census workers and troops escorting them. Pakistan responded by shutting the border and firing artillery shells that killed 6 Afghans. The gunfire from Afghanistan came as census workers escorted by troops were going door to door in villages located along the border as part of a nationwide census which began in March. The ensuing exchange of fire reignited a centuries-old border dispute between Islamabad and Kabul at the boundary, known as the Durand Line, which runs through some villages. Pakistani officials said Saturday they were still busy in assessing damages caused by the Afghan artillery. Torrential rains in central and eastern Canada forced hundreds of families to evacuate flooded homes and prompted the province of Quebec to request federal military aid yesterday. The Quebec's Public Secretary Minister Martin Coitu said a news conference in Montreal that soldiers are expected to be brought as the region braces for further downpours this weekend. The Weather Forecasting Service Environment Canada said up to 2.4 inches fell in eastern Ontario on Wednesday and western Quebec in 2 days. At least 124 Quebec municipalities have been affected by flooding that has inundated 1,326 residences and forced the evacuation of 700 homes. Still to come in our news bulletin. With the aim to develop the traditional products, a training course on fish manufacturing is concluded in the Niaba of Hasek. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Due to its negative effects on underground water and soil, a seminar on the national campaign of removing the mesquite trees is organized in the Wilaya of Sahar in the Governorate of North Batana. The campaign, which witnessed a participation of a number of sports and voluntary teams and society members, included a virtual presentation on the risk of these kind of trees and their effects on humans and the environment. The organizers said the process of removing this tree is a national demand and everyone should join hands to eradicate mesquite trees because of their adverse effect on agriculture and the environment. Within the aim to develop the traditional products of the coastal women in the Wilaya of Sadr, a training course on the traditional fishing industry and the health practices was concluded in the Niaba of Hasek. The course, which was financed by Oxy Company and supervised by the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth, witnessed a participation of 12 trainees from the Wilaya. The course participants expressed that such events develop their skills in this field, as well as enabling them to exchange experiences and talents between each other. Within the framework to honor the creative and excelled students in the schools of the Governorate of Musandam, the Directorate General of Education, in cooperation with Oman Oil Company, organized the first scientific forum. The honoring ceremony is considered a motivation to students to exert more efforts in their studies. The event included various activities like student works exhibition and scientific lectures. A fine arts exhibition was held in the Wilaya of Nizwa in the Governorate of Dakhiliya. It came to highlight the talents and capabilities of the school students in the arts field. The exhibition, which was organized by Aisha bint Talha for Basic School in the Wilaya of Bahla, included a number of colorful portraits derived from the Omani environment, as well as other pictures that show the beauty of the old castles and buildings, including the nature. The event was also a great opportunity for the students to share knowledge and experience with the artists. And now for the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas overlooking Sea of Oman with chances of scattered rainfall. The rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies. Winds will be north to northeasterly light to moderate, occasionally active over the coastal areas. Seas will be moderate to rough with a maximum wave height of 3 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate's gross domestic product value is more than 25.5 billion Omani riyals by the end of 2016. $12.4 billion Omani riyals is the total value of commercial banks' deposits in the Sultanate by the end of last February. And local citizens of the 5th area of South Ma'bela managed to deliver portable water to 200 households. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.